Toronto to the world.
Josh!
This is Josh Holiday Live. Talk that rocks.
The public needs to be informed.
Josh might surprise us.
Got an opinion? Dial 647-6YO-JOSH.
When you hear him, you're like, what?
Josh Holiday Live starts now.
Happy New Year! Happy New Year. It is 2022, first live show, actually first show of the year. We are indeed live. It's December 7th, just after 3. I am Josh. He of the show title that you just heard. We are live, which means you can call live and opine, rage, share your stories, share your frustrations, tell me what you did over the holidays, tell me your New Year's resolutions, whatever you want to talk about. The phone line is always open here. I will get the conversation started, but pipe in anytime you like. 647-6YO-JOSH is the telephone number, or you can, if you're not good with the letters and the numbers and trying to figure that whole thing out, it's 647-696-5674. I feel somewhat rejuvenated. As of around December 22nd, the days are getting longer. We hit the lowest point in terms of light during the day. Concern for us northern dwellers, getting our vitamin D, feeling better about ourselves. And I feel like, okay, we've knocked off December. We're already a bit into January. We just have to get through February, and then the weather will warm up again, and we can start being good again. And of course, I was in, of course, as if you should know, I went out to the Calgary area for the holidays. I have a sister who lives in a town called Airdrie, which is a bit of a suburb of Calgary, I would say. It's its own town, but it's 15-minute drive, 20-minute drive out of the Calgary downtown. I worked in Calgary for 2 years, hosting an afternoon radio show on a station out there. I moved out there for the gig from Toronto. Then about halfway through, my sister decided she was going to up and move to Calgary and restart her career. She had been in the family business, and she decided, you know what, I'm going to set out on my own, and she did. She came out there. I came home. She met a guy, got married, had kids, and now I was out visiting them. And my two nephews, 11 and 12-year-old guys. I'm the fun uncle. I try to be the fun uncle. Mostly I watch them play video games and joke about. But the first day I got out there, I looked on my weather app on the phone, and with the wind chill, the temperature in Airdrie, Alberta, was minus 41. Without the wind chill, it was like minus 30, which is bad enough. But yeah, it was very, very cold for almost the whole time I was out there. I went out there on Christmas Day and stayed till the January 2nd. The only warmish day was the day I left. Other than that, the average was about minus 20. So not a lot of outdoor activity happening. Did have some good food. There's a great indie coffee place near her place. And then there's a Mexican restaurant, which is not even in downtown Calgary. It's just in her small town. But it was really, really good. Really authentic tasting Mexican. So that was a pleasant treat. Tacos and Tequila, I believe it was called. And Sorso is the coffee place. If you're listening from those parts, give them a plug. We didn't do a ton of things. Activity-wise, we did a few escape rooms, which certainly test family communication. And it worked out okay because in terms of avoiding the virus, you're kind of isolated in these rooms with just your family group. So it was my sister, her husband, and my 2 nephews. And we had fun. We needed some clues, but we did okay. I felt comfortable flying out there, because in Canada it's mandated that you need a vaccine or you need to be fully vaccinated to fly, which is a great rule. That's why I think you haven't seen as many cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs anti-maskers causing rage in the air. We saw it on an international flight recently, headed to Mexico from Montreal. Not just anti-maskers, but smoking, vaping, and passing around a bottle. Kind of a plane full of garbage people. They went down to Mexico and they were denied their return flights, and I think some of them got back. And I certainly know there's people in that group, as there are in any big group, who aren't responsible. They were maybe on the trip thinking, okay, this is going to be a fun trip, and then all the other people around them started acting like a-holes, and they kind of got painted with that big brush. But I think it's sort of funny that these people are experiencing consequences, and all they had to do to get a return flight was to sign an agreement that of certain conditions, and the one condition that the leader of this group of nudniks had an objection to was there's going to be no food on the plane for a 5-hour flight. Too bad. You want to go home? Just play by the rules. You really effed up on the way down. So I think they should have to hitchhike, or maybe just leave them down there. Yeah, as I said, I was out in Alberta, and it's sort of like the Texas of Canada in a lot of ways. They have I think in the country, probably the lowest vaccination rate of any of the major cities. There's a lot of anti-vax dum-dums out there. And then there's just a lackadaisical attitude towards getting vaxxed. I know here in Toronto and Mississauga, people were desperately seeking booster shots as soon as possible, calling around, registering on sites, just trying to track down a booster as soon as they can get it, knowing that the boosters prevent severe hospitalization, those types of things. But in Calgary, the doses were readily available, and I know of people there, people I might even be related to in some capacity, who were kind of like, yeah, maybe next week I'll see what I can do. You know, even though it was readily available, they were very lackadaisical about it. My sister has a weekly lunch, I think on Tuesday or Wednesday afternoons, and they go to this kind of divey bar, kind of a rock bar, if you will. There's a stage there, and it's kind of trashy, and essentially, if it's a rock bar, you know, heavy metal kind of bar. But the bar is well known for having a wide variety of wings of all different shapes. Well, they're wing shaped. They have 2 varieties, drums and flats, but all variety of sauces and rubs and those types of things. They have a KFC taste alike. They have butter chicken. You name it, they've thought of it. Even I can't think of it. There's one that has like dried noodles on the outside of it, sort of and sriracha type taste. But they have everything, and the wings were delicious, and we ate. And then after we left that bar, I was in my sister's car, and she kind of casually mentions that, oh yeah, that bar, they actually were shut down for a while because they were rejecting the vax passport thing. They were rebelling against the passport thing. They weren't requiring passports. I was like, why did you not tell me this before? Of all the businesses I'm not going to give business to, it would be a bar that is flouting the rules and causing this pandemic to carry on. It was really like, tell me before, and I'll stay home and have a peanut butter and honey sandwich, and you can go with your friends to this anti-vax bar. But I believe that the law cracked down on them, so they were quite strict about checking passports and stuff like that. So in the end, it worked out okay because they're actually doing the right thing, but I still would not have supported them because of them being one of those rebel, unquote, businesses. We all saw what happened with Adam Skelly. He took the money and run. The barbecue guy did a big online fundraiser, took the cash and split. All his restaurants are closed. Yeah, so that was Calgary. It was Airdrie. We didn't stray much from Airdrie just because of the weather and B, the COVID. I don't know if you saw this week, but the Pope says people that have pets instead of children are selfish. What? I don't know if the Pope has taken a look around the world lately, but we are still suffering from overpopulation. There are too many children being born, especially in third world nations where oftentimes they follow strict religious tenets or they don't have access to contraception, and the Catholic hierarchy is against contraception, pro-children, and you certainly see it in Central and South America. Tons of kids. Pretty much anyone over 30 has a kid. And yeah, I just don't get him saying it's selfish to have a pet instead of a kid. Why is that selfish? The unborn child will never know that it was not conceived. There's no selfishness to that. Now, I'll get my bias out of the way right now. I have a dog. I have no kids. I'm at the point now where I'm pretty much 99.9% sure I'm not going to have kids. Part of that, obviously, is I don't have a serious partner. But even if I did, I still think I don't think I'd bring a child into this world, especially the way it's going right now in terms of climate change. And it really is a world out of control. There's all kinds of disastrous climate events. And a lot of the people in charge, especially Republicans in the States, are climate denialists. And there's a selfishness to them, especially if they have kids or grandkids. They're not looking out for those kids and grandkids' futures with their policies toward climate change. But yeah, that's just a stupid thing for the Pope to say. Having a pet instead of a child is selfish. I love my dog as much as a child. And if you want to talk about selfishness, how about you churches pay some taxes? How about that? And you could make a joke about the Pope wanting more kids in the whole Catholic Church and their history of abuse, but I'm not going to make that joke. I'm just not. You can make it on your own. You can connect the dots, and it's a make a joke kit for you that you can go ahead and use. It is Josh Holiday Live. We are live this January 7th, 2022. We're taking your calls, 647-6-YO-JOSH, 647-696-5674. I have hit the breaking point with the unvaccinated. The anti-vaxxers are terrible, but the unvaccinated in general, I think I've hit my breaking point. It just angered me now. And I think you're seeing the anger rise around the world at these unvaccinated, selfish people. We're going to talk about how Doug Ford has failed us during the pandemic. We're going to talk about how they can change flights. We're going to take your calls. It's all coming up.
Something bugging you? Need to vent?
Where the is Josh?
This is your unfiltered megaphone.
When you hear him, you're like, what?
Dial 647-6-YO-JOSH now to be heard. Talk that rocks. Josh Holiday Live.
That's why I see him and I shine. Good shine, man. saving my nation.
Yes. Josh Holiday Live, 6476 Yo Josh, telephone number you can call. Got boosted. Hey man, nice shot. Hope you did too. Fed up completely with the anti-vaxxers. Not just the anti-vaxxers, but the unvaccinated. You've had so much time. It's been a year now. I don't know what you're waiting for if you haven't gotten it yet. The situation we're in now here in Ontario, back to stage 2, is almost entirely because of the unvaccinated. People who are double and triple vaccinated aren't the reason we're in stage 2. We went to stage 2 because there's a worry that as the Omicron spreads, the hospitals aren't going to be able to keep up with the amount of patients in the intensive care, the ICU. And those patients aren't the vaccinated. The vast, vast majority of people in the ICU because of COVID are the unvaccinated. These selfish people are costing you and I getting back to normal. If we had a higher vaccination rate, the hospitals would be okay and we could go about our business. Everyone, in my opinion, is going to catch the virus. I would say by the end of February, almost everyone is going to have had it. And it all depends, I guess, on your vaccination status in terms of how it affects you. The other thing that makes me frustrated and mad at these selfish, unvaccinated people is they're causing trouble not just for themselves, which is often when they make their case, they're like, well, I'm in charge of me, it only affects me, so why do I need to get it if it's only about me? Well, that's just not the case. You're more likely to spread it. You're more likely to have it for longer and spread it. You're much more likely to catch it. That's the one thing. You're more likely to make other people catch it. But the other thing is, because the hospitals are overwhelmed with these unvaccinated people, they're putting off other essential procedures. A couple of years ago, I had skin cancer. I know on one of my calves there was a black kind of moly thing, and my dermatologist sent a sample out, and he was like, "Guess what? It's cancer." And between the time they found that out and the time that I had the surgery to take a apple bite-sized chunk out of the back of my calf, there was an intense amount of stress because you're aware that this deadly thing is growing on you, and it's growing in size by the day. And I remember waiting, I think 2 or 3 months because it was sort of summer holidays, and I think a lot of the surgeons and the experts were vacationing and stuff. But that was just a stressful period of time. And that was that was the good cancer, if you will, the less severe cancer. I can't imagine someone with a more severe cancer circumstance, how intensely frustrating and disappointing it must be to have treatments postponed because of selfish, unvaccinated people. And what about, and maybe this is not so much in Canada, but I certainly know of places in the States where the hospitals are so full up that they can't even take emergency patients. So if you have a heart attack, you're out of luck. If you have an emergency situation, you may not get the treatment you need. You may die. Selfishness has always been a problem, and a growing problem, especially among the right-wingers, where it's all about how does this benefit me, as opposed to how does this benefit society. But now selfishness has been turned into something deadly. It's really, really frustrating. And I think we can agree that Doug Ford has been a terrible, terrible premier when it comes to dealing with a lot of things. Even before the coronavirus hit, Doug Ford was terrible and continues to be. We can talk about the highway plans and cozying up to his corporate buddies and working for them as opposed to the actual people who elected him and the people in general, because there's a lot of people who did not elect him and would not elect him and never would. If coronavirus hadn't have come along, there would have been cuts to healthcare, cuts to education. And he's been late with everything. Like he's been kind of dragged along into doing all of these things. He didn't make mandates for education workers. He didn't make mandates for healthcare workers. That was the first bad thing. And then not so long ago, just like I think it was in November, he said, well, you know what, probably January 19th we'll stop with the vaccine passports. Stupid. Why would you do that? You're only giving the unvaccinated and the anti-vaxxers an out. So instead of feeling some pressure to get vaccinated so they can participate in life, you say, well, you just wait a little bit longer and everything will be back to normal. Don't bother getting that vaccine because we're going to let everybody in on January 19th. But look how it's turned out. We're about 10 days away from January 19th. We're in stage 2. You bumbling idiot. Tests are a major problem in Ontario and have been, especially through the holidays. The federal government sent tons and tons of tests to Ontario, and we don't know where they went. Some businesses got them, but if you tried to get a rapid test around the holidays, you certainly know that they weren't widely available as they should have been if Ford was doing his job. And then we had his flip-flop on the schools. One day he's like, well, you know what? We're going to come back to school, but we're going to wait an extra 2 days. I don't think anyone saw that and thought, that's smart. That's going to make a difference. And then, of course, he met with his experts and again, flip-flopped and did the right thing and postponed it for a little bit because of the unvaccinated slowing our return to normal. And he's made it more difficult by not agreeing with almost every province in Canada has agreed and made a deal with the federal government for $10 childcare. But Dougie hasn't stepped up. So if you have to stay home from work or you're sick or your kids are home and you have to work, it's going to cost you. And then he dragged his feet on paid sick leave. It's just been a disaster all around for Ford. And we can't forget Doug Ford is not a bright guy. I think we're safe in saying that. Kind of a big doofus. And the apple doesn't fall far from the tree because his daughter is something else. She is a first-class idiot. She is an anti-vax, not just unvaccinated, but an anti-vaxxer. Her and her meathead husband, who has been put on leave without pay because he won't get the vaccine. Which I've always said, cops who are fired or put on leave because they won't get the vaccine, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. You're getting rid of the bad cops, the cops who aren't going to follow orders, the right wingers, because we certainly know that right wingers and anti-vaxxers are very much have an overlapping philosophy, and many of the people who are anti-vaxxers are also right-wingers, white nationalists. And she's active, this Krista Hayes, Doug Ford's daughter, is active on social media. She's very Jesus-y. And I kind of poked around her Instagram. She was even posting stuff about Wayfair trafficking children. So she's batch crazy, bat-ass crazy. I almost said it. QAnon crazy. Like insane, conspiracy theory crazy. She had a Instagram post earlier this week, Tuesday morning, and she wrote, "Those who complied are getting frustrated and seeing the light. Many have been asking how they can stop this cycle. One super simple step that everyone can take is to ditch the QR code. Simply do not provide it. Don't download the app. Don't show proof you're vaxxed up. What you do with your body is your business. It's our job now to keep it that way." Oh, what an idiot. And she went on to urge Ontario business owners to say, if businesses are complying with government mandates, simply give your businesses to those who are holding down our freedoms. Freedom fighters. Soon enough, businesses will start to realize they're losing customer base. If the government wants to enforce their tyranny, they can send bylaw to each and every business in Ontario. They can enforce their rules from open to closed to over 1 million businesses. Who's going to follow this? Like, not a charismatic leader, not a smart leader, just a dum-dum. I don't know who's going to listen to her. Probably the same people who are listening to that Chris Sky, that horse-toothed jackass. He really is like the epitome of ridiculousness. And the fact that people have idolized this guy, this Chris Sicaccio or whatever his name is, Chris Sky, with the bleach blonde hair, the big chiclet teeth implants. He's the dumbest guy, but he's actually got people who worship and follow him. The blind leading the blind, if you will. Krista Hayes, Doug Ford's daughter, goes on to say, "We're human. We're sovereign. You do not need a pass to get into any place, anywhere. Our pass comes from our Charter of Rights. We, the people, outnumber the tyrants. The government serves us. We do not serve them. Remember that. It's time to grow a pair, Ontario. Live sovereign." This is the Premier's daughter, the guy who's in charge of our response to the coronavirus and how we deal with it. This is his daughter, who is the polar, like everything that is against what should be happening is represented by her. And I can't help but think that some of that, even if 5% of that thought influences her father, Dougie, it's a bad thing. And I sometimes wonder, maybe he's dragging his feet because he feels pressure from his daughter. The time to crack down on the unvaccinated is now. Macron in France is doing the right thing. Make it hard for these people to do things. I think if we made any flight out of Canada vaccine mandatory, we'd be better off. I think the U.S. has made a mistake by not making vaccines mandatory for domestic flights. They've certainly noted a 1,000-fold increase in incidents of angry anti-maskers on planes. If you had a requirement for a vax passport to get on a domestic flight in the U.S., the problem would virtually go away. This is not like the vaccinated people are the ones who are anti-mask. They're all part of the same dumb crowd. In the U.S., the Mayo Clinic fired 700 people for not getting the vax. Good. It's only about 1% of their workers, but still, it's a good step. City of Toronto this week letting go a couple hundred people. Good. More mandates. It's a good thing. This is Josh Holiday Live. You can call us anytime even when the show's not on the air, if you're hearing this other than Friday afternoon between 3 and 4, you can still call that number and leave a voicemail, which may be aired on a future show. If you text that number, 647-6-YO-JOSH, I can read your text, but what will also happen is the next time we go live with phone calls, you'll get a text saying, hey, guess what? You can call in now. Welcome to call, 647-6-YO-JOSH. It is Josh Holiday Live. Going to get into some lighter stuff after the break. Being angry is exhausting. It really is. We're going to talk about kind of some end-of-year stuff. Things removed from body orifices in 2021. Some weird things that have been removed in hospital. And there's a survey on what are the top 10 jerk moves, things that are jerky to do. And we're going to go over that list next.
You all know that thing you use to send text. It works for actual mouth talking.
Josh stuff, more Josh stuff, more Josh stuff.
Get in on the conversation. Punch 647-6-YO-JOSH to be heard. Talk that rocks. Josh Holiday Live.
Yeah, it is Josh Holiday Live, 647-6-YO-JOSH. You can call us. Got the anger out of my system. If you still have some in yours, you can call us anytime. There's a survey of what is the worst jerk move. And we're going to go over those now. And actually, if you can think of one that's maybe not on the list that you think is a jerk move, you can call us up. I can think of a bunch. I've talked about more pet peeves than anything, but I've talked about people who come to an almost complete stop to go over speed bumps. You can go 30 or 40 over them. Don't fret. So here are some. They did a survey. This is like Family Feud. See if you can guess top 10 things that people said are the worst jerk move. Number 10 is trying to push through and exit a plane before it's your turn. There's a lot of jerk moves around flying, but that's definitely one. It's a row by row thing. If you're in the back, you have to wait. The row goes, the next row goes. If you try and like push through, you're a jerk. This is what they're saying, and I'm saying too. The other thing that I find funny is people who crowd around. Like as soon as they make a call that the flight's boarding, for kids and stuff like that, everyone crowds around. Oh, is it me? And they try and push their way through. And sometimes I wish the flight people were more strict and said, no, go back and sit down. You're in zone 5, dum-dum. Number 9, worst jerk move is trying to enter an elevator before others have exited. This goes for subways too. Just wait. You always have these antsy people who are like, I gotta get in there. Number 8, worst jerk move, not replacing the toilet paper roll. I live alone, so I don't experience this too much, but I can see how it'd be frustrating. Nothing worse than dropping a deuce and not checking the toilet paper, kind of absent-mindedly sitting down and doing your business, making some brown bread in the porcelain oven. And when you're done your business, especially if it's a sticky one, you look over and there's just a single tiny 2-ply sheet of toilet paper hanging there. And to reach the extra rolls, you have to contort off the toilet, open the doors to your cupboards under the sink without messing up your poopy area while you're doing it, making the problem worse. I will say this. I'm actually in a good situation in my house. A couple of years ago, like maybe 5 years ago, and it's been worth every penny. I don't have a Toto toilet like with the bidet toilet because that's super expensive. But I did order a special toilet seat that you hook up to power and you hook up to water, and it essentially works the same way. It squirts the water up your butthole, and if you're a lady, it takes care of the other part in front of the beehole. And it's the best thing ever. I'm now when I have to do business elsewhere, I'm always frustrated at the lack of having that. I mean, it's not so bad if you have a smooth move, but sometimes, if you're not getting the fiber, the water can help with that. And I love it. It's also like it heats the water too. Heats the toilet seat. So good. It's huge. Like that kind of thing is almost normal in Korea and Japan. I wish it was more normal here. Anyway, not replacing the toilet roll is number 8 on the worst jerk moves. If you have a jerk move you want to talk about, you can call me 647-6-YO-JOSH. The 7th worst jerk move on this list is flipping through the pictures on someone else's phone when they just wanted to show you one. I get that. Someone just shows you a picture on their phone and you start poking around in there. And if you give it something, because I know there's stuff, I've taken pictures for medical things on my phone to show the doctor, intimate stuff. And I don't want someone like going through my photos and stumbling upon that. That's embarrassing. It's terrible. No one should have to see that. So just let someone show you the one picture. And if you want to see more, ask. 6th worst jerk move: ditching frozen or refrigerated food on regular grocery shelves. Yeah, that's kind of a jerk move. Again, it comes down to selfishness. You get something in the frozen aisle and then you're near the cash and you're like, nah, I don't know if I really want this. And you just drop it by the chocolate bars. That's just a selfish a-hole move. A lot of this basically jerk stuff comes down to selfishness. It's all tied in. The anti-vaxxers, the unvaccinated. It all comes down to selfishness. Number 5 on this list of the worst jerk move is taking up 2 or more parking spaces by parking outside the lines. We've all seen this. The guy in his Corvette who pulls into the parking lot and parks diagonal across a couple of spots so no one will key his car or hit his car with the doors. But it's also, I would say, another jerk move is people who park beside cars and just open their doors without any thought to hitting the other car. But taking up more than one space is, especially in a busy mall parking lot or a busy parking lot, it's just a jerk move. You're more likely to get damage to your car from angry people than had you just parked it in a regular space. Number 4 on the worst jerk move list, this is for corporate stuff, making it impossibly hard to cancel subscriptions. Yeah, they do, certainly, especially online. They make you go through all these steps and try and dig around to try and find how to cancel. And yeah, it is pretty impossible. This is a driving one that frustrates me. Number 3, worst jerk move: passing somebody on the road only to then go slower than they were going. There's a lot of stuff around this, the highway driving thing. It drives me crazy, people who hog the left lane. Their argument is, well, I'm going the speed limit. Why should I move over? That's the rule of the road. Slower traffic, keep right. It doesn't say people going under the speed limit, keep right. Slower traffic, get out of the lane. Move over. And And then a lot of times you'll come up beside you'll be in the left lane, and there'll be a car in the middle lane. And as you come to pass them, they start speeding up. And the same thing if a car is not moving out of that left lane, what we call the passing lane, you'll try and pass them in the middle side because of they won't get the hell out. And then they'll speed up to not let you get ahead, only not because they want to go faster, just because they want to prevent you from getting ahead of them. We could probably spend a whole show talking about jerk drivers and things that make us mad on the road, and we probably will at some point. Number 2 worst jerk move is eating food that isn't yours and is even marked with someone else's name. I think this is sometimes a roommate thing, but I often associate this with an office setting or a business setting where you have a shared fridge and people poke around and think, oh, that's a good meal. I'm going to eat that, even though it has someone else's name on it. There's easy ways to get around that. You could actually just label it in a way that discourages people by putting, urine sample on your juice or poison on a label. People might not believe it, but it might be just enough to discourage them. But if it's a chronic thing, you could put your food in there and booby trap it. Put an incredible amount of spice. Maybe find yourself some ghost peppers, put it in there. You could get even worse by using stuff that comes out of your body. And if someone wants to steal it, well, they have to deal with whatever is in that drink or sandwich. And the number 1 worst jerk move, as told to this survey, was blocking someone else's driveway. This is one that I've seen. My mother's house is notorious for it. There's street parking, but after, only at night, and she's had a lot of construction happening on the house next door, and they've been really jerky about parking a couple of feet in front of her driveway. One time she came home and the guy had actually parked his truck in her driveway who was working on the house next door. And it wasn't super apologetic. He was just like, oh yeah, I'll move it. My dad used to get very grumpy about people who would park like a foot. Maybe their car would be over a foot in the driveway. And he made these signs. He printed out these signs to put on their windshield saying, well, next time you'll be towed, blah, blah, blah. He got really grumpy about it. Grumpy old man. And one time there was a pickup truck parked in front of the driveway a little bit. It was about a foot over, which is annoying. Maybe write a note and leave it at that. But this time he actually called, had the truck ticketed and towed. And then it was like a young girl and her boyfriend, nice people. And I felt so guilty by association that I was super apologetic, and I gave them a lift to the tow place because I felt so much guilt. But it is certainly annoying, and I went through the trouble. I bought some of that yellow parking space color paint, and on either side of my mother's driveway, I put a square of yellow on the curb so people can kind of get an idea of where the driveway starts and ends so they don't park in front of it. So those are some of the worst jerk moves. If you have other ones that didn't make the list, you can call us. 6476-YO-JOSH. 647-696-5674. You can text us at that same number. And if you want to get involved with the socials, go to SAUGA960am.ca. All of my socials are there. Email, website, Instagram, Facebook, whatever else there is, it's there. Twitter. And if you want to get past episodes of this show or just kind of keep on top of things, you can go to joshholidaylive.com. It's just that easy. joshholidaylive.com. Instead, I was going to talk about this. There's one glaring omission from this list of orifices from which things have been removed in the past year. They list the ear, the nose, and the throat, but they do not list the anus. I had a friend who was an emergency room nurse, and we heard a lot of stories about things that were lodged up people's rear ends, and it was kind of it was one half amusing and one half gross. Anyway, this list does not contain any of those things, but here's a couple of things that people stuffed into their orifices. Why can't I say that word? In the last year, in 2021. Stuff found in ears, a Christmas light bulb, espresso beans, toilet paper. I sometimes use toilet paper to kind of get the wax out, and I shouldn't do that. A googly eye, the wooden end of a paintbrush, a piece of cake, a circus peanut, and a Tic Tac. Stuff that was removed from people's noses, a rubber snake, mulch, candy corn, a soda can tab, a rock from a fish tank, cat food, and the number 8 button from a TV remote. Very specific. And stuff that has been removed from people's throat, a mood ring, a smartphone SIM card, maybe it was a spy trying not to get caught, a USB cable, magnifying glass. You try and think of how that ended up there. Maybe someone was looking in the mirror trying to magnify their tongue or something, trying to see if there's maybe a canker sore or something, and the magnifying glass went down their throat. Cologne sample. I guess that's why they sometimes have to be over specific with instructions. Do not use orally. Golf pencil, guitar pick, poker chip, a golf ball marker, and an engagement ring. Those are things removed from body orifices in 2021. It is Josh Holiday Live. Just a little bit of time left here on the show, and you know what? It's that moment of I'm going to cough. Oh, COVID. No, not COVID. You know, I'm going to save this for next week. There's a university in Michigan that had a list of 10 banished words that were overused and that they're tired of. We'll talk about that next week. It is Josh Holiday Live. It's good to be back doing the show live. If you're hearing this at a time other than between 3 and 4 on Friday afternoon, you're not hearing it live. That's okay, too. As I said, you can always call that number and leave a voicemail, 647-6-YO-JOSH. We will use those if they're good on the next show, the recording of that. You can text. I will read your text. Take it to heart. And the other bonus of the text thing is you'll get a text when we go live again and the phone lines are open. And you can email. It's josh@joshholiday.com. Now, the one thing you need to keep in mind there is there's 2 L's in holiday, so it might just be better to go to the SAUGA960am.ca website, and you'll find a direct link to email there. And catch up on direct shows at joshholidaylive.com. Happy New Year, and we will see you next Friday.
Turn on the lights, open the shades.
The show's over, but the conversation continues. On Twitter at Josh Holiday, on the web at joshholidaylive.com, and hear missed episodes on your favorite podcatcher. Talk that rocks. Josh Holiday Live.